All right, the new La Liga season is officially underway. And for Real Madrid, it all started at home against Osasuna. Now, the final score was 1-0. Simple enough, right? Well, not exactly. That single number hides a way more complicated story. We're talking struggle, a flash of pure genius, and even some last-minute drama.
So, let's just get right to it, because this is the big question, isn't it? A win is a win, sure. 3 points are in the bag. But, how you win that first game, that can really set the tone for the whole year. So, what was this? Was it a show of pure grit, or was it maybe a little bit of a warning sign? Let's dig in.
Okay, so picture this. August 19th, 2025. The Santiago Bernabéu is absolutely packed, just buzzing with that new season energy. You know the feeling. And this wasn't just any season opener. It was the start of a new era. You've got Xabi Alonso taking the reins as the new coach, and he's been handed a team that is just overflowing with talent.
I mean, just look at some of these names on the field. You've got Courtois between the sticks, the new blood like Mastantuono, and then the absolute megawatt star power of Vini Jr. and, of course, Kylian Mbappé. When you see a lineup like that, you're not just thinking win, you're thinking domination. You're expecting a show. But that's not exactly what we got.
Yeah, instead of the offensive fireworks we all expected, the game settled into a really clear pattern, and fast. It basically became a story of Real Madrid's all-star attack just smashing itself against a giant red defensive wall put up by Osasuna.
And really, this tactical battle was the whole story of the match. On one hand, you had Real Madrid with the ball, pretty much the entire time. They completely dominated possession, just like you'd think. But Osasuna, they had a game plan, and it was simple but brilliant. Just sit back, form a tight block, and make life miserable for Madrid's attackers. And for a huge chunk of the game, man, it was working like a charm.
For all that talent and for having so much of the ball, the attack just wasn't clicking. It felt slow, kind of predictable, passes weren't connecting, the timing on the runs was off, and they just weren't creating any real dangerous chances. It was sluggish, a little sloppy, and definitely not the high-flying football everyone in the stadium was hoping to see.
So as the minutes ticked by, first half ends, second half starts, you could feel the frustration building. Not just on the pitch, but in the stands too. The crowd was getting restless, Osasuna's defense just would not break. And honestly, for all of Madrid's possession, that 0-0 scoreline was starting to look like it was set in stone.
But hey, this is Real Madrid we're talking about. And in these kinds of grinded-out games, when the team plan isn't working, you need one of your superstars to just take over. And that is exactly what happened. The team was in a rut, but one guy decided, all right, that's enough of this.
The 51st minute. Right there. That was the moment. The moment the entire game turned on its head.
And who else would it be? This was the Kylian Mbappé show. Honestly, he'd been Madrid's most dangerous player the whole time, and now he was about to create that one single moment of brilliance the team desperately needed.
And look, it wasn't some spectacular long-range shot or a beautiful team play. No, this was all about one guy's skill and sheer will. Mbappé just took the ball, drove right into the penalty box, and was clever enough to draw the foul. He basically created the chance out of thin air, and then of course he's the one who steps up to the spot and just calmly slots it home.
And that right there was the game. That one goal, created and scored by one player, was all that separated them. A super narrow, really tough 1-0 win for Real Madrid.
But, the story wasn't quite finished yet. Because the game was so tight and so physical, things started to get a little heated as we got closer to the end.
And sure enough, deep into stoppage time, all that tension just boiled over. Osasuna's Abel Bertones got himself a straight red card for violent conduct. Boom, just like that, they were down to 10 men. And what was already a tough day for them ended on a really sour note.
So, okay, the final whistle blows, the dust settles. What do we actually take away from this win? Because it's clearly not as simple as just saying, hey, 3 points, great.
And this quote kind of sums up the whole mood perfectly. Look, a win is a win, especially for a new coach on opening day. That's job number one. But everyone knows the performance itself was, well, pretty shaky. There's a lot of room for improvement.
When you really break it down, it comes down to 3 things. First, the result, 3 points. That's essential, and they got it done. Check. Second, the reason they won. Pure star power. Mbappé was the difference maker, period. But that third piece, the team chemistry, how they play together as a unit, that's still a huge question mark. And that's the part that's going to be really important going forward.
So that brings us right back to where we started. What does this win really tell us about this new-look Real Madrid? Is this championship grit, the mark of a great team that can win ugly even when they're not playing well? Or is it a sign of weakness? A team so stacked with talent that still needed one penalty to just barely get past a defensive team at home? Honestly, the answer to that question could end up defining their entire season.